So, welcome everybody to this, the first episode of a guest teacher inside of the Awareness Academy. And I am just thrilled about this. And one of the reasons I like to, I was inspired to, on a monthly basis, at least every 5 to 6 weeks, to have somebody who comes to speak to our community to share their wisdom, especially if I can tie it to A Course in Miracles, since that's the foundation of the teachings inside of the Academy. And it just, when the idea came to mind, I was like, oh, Holy Spirit, you are just so freaking awesome. Because the person that I felt inspired to reach out to is my dear friend Lorelei Robbins, who I know from Atlanta, and we have been friends for a very long time. I knew her, we met before I started my journey, about a year or so before my mom passed away. And so it feels like a coming full circle moment because Lorelei's helped me so much with astrology. To, I mean, we weren't talking Course in Miracles. We didn't have that language back then. She may have, but I didn't, so we didn't
Mm.
talk about it. But it was just such a fun experience to learn about astrology. And so, Lorelei, oh my gosh, I am so excited that you are here. So welcome, welcome, and thank you for being the amazing light that you are, and is helping me uh connect with the community in such a way that we can bring some nuggets of astrology, because everybody here is a student of the course, and then if we can connect astrology with it is super exciting. So thank you for showing up. Why don't you say a little bit about you, and then let's talk we'll just mention this
Okay.
about how we
Well,
met.
first of all, I want to say as I said before we came on, I'm so grateful to you for responding to your guidance because I'm so passionate about the course and I'm so passionate about astrology. And I've always known they support each other in my intuitive place. But to be asked the question of, as I said, it's put me on this inquiry that's been really wonderful because it's like new ground and going, well, of course, that makes sense and that makes sense. Um, I was thinking about this because, again, we go back so far and we met in a space of personal growth. We met in a place. When I think about the people I met there, like you,
Hmm.
those relationships they're deep and they're transparent and they're vulnerable just because of the context that we met in. So, and I was thinking about, the holy encounter and how we see others and treat them and think of them. We treat and see and think of ourselves. When you and I would connect over the years, like often at Unity in the foyer or something, and there'd be this like fire, but like, oh, there you are. And I was thinking to myself, that was the light seeing the light, and why it was always so fun to connect with you. And then we wouldn't see each other for a while, and then we'd connect again, and it would be that. Um, but I was thinking about how you have played such a major role in my spiritual growth process because, um, okay, so here's one thing that I think where astrology and the course support each other. There's nothing at random. There's nothing at random. I mean, in other words, everything that happens, all things work together for good. So nothing happens at random. Well, it's the same with the chart. In other words, the astrological piece is a path. It's not a prediction.
Hmm.
It's a path, a journey. That's why I call my sessions Journey with Lorelei. Um, and and nothing is at random, and the course basically says that as well. And I thought, well, that's cool. And then I thought, I'm the light of the world, right? Lesson 61, I believe, I'm the light of the world. Well, where astrology supports the course is, how do I shine that light? I know I'm the light of the world, let's say. We all know that. How do I shine my light? And you know what book I was inspired to go back and read today, Lina, when I went out to have a piece of salmon? The Little Soul in the Sun
Oh,
by
power.
Neil Donald Walsh, about I want to be the light. Well, how do you want to be the light? And I want to be the light of forgiveness. Oh, well, then you're going to have somebody to forgive.
Yeah.
Um, so, and of course, part of the joy for me and always connecting with you is I honored my instincts and said, oh, this would be great if we could do this on Friday because the moon's in Leo and Mercury's in Leo and we'll have fun and we have Leo energy between us. And Leo is the energy of joy. And coming back to how important you and these teachings have been in my life, when you directed me to chapter 21, responsibility for sight,
Mm.
when I was in the cancer adventure actively. And I knew somehow that, not you stupid shit, Lorelei, how did you attract this? But knowing that it was that was supposed to be on my path, right? What I do know about that is that, and I don't know, we can have another conversation about, I don't know what anybody thinks about, I don't believe the soul has dark nights. The ego has dark nights. The
Totally.
soul does
Totally.
not have a dark night, but the ego does. And I had to have a death of a piece of the ego or an aspect of the ego. And that's where I needed to go with it. I needed to go to that darkest place of, my God, my life feels like it has no meaning, it has no purpose. Where is that light in me that everybody seems to see that I don't know where the hell it is? Where did it go? And I mean, I knew it wasn't out, but I felt that it had died. And then through someone from the personal work that we did at UIO, through someone else I met back then, we did a mini kind of he reflected my joy back to me. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh my God. And so what got reborn was not an astrologer, not a counselor, not a I do this, was the joy in me. And I know that that's my overarching intention now. I don't have a clue. I don't have to know how, but I know that everything that I do is in service to that. And that is so Course in Miracles.
Yep.
And of course, I mean, you embody that. You always have, and so, yeah. So when you reached out to me and I went, ooh, that's kind of scary. I don't know how I would talk. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Wow, isn't she inspired that, and as I said, it sent me on this inquiry of what I've always believed, what I shared with you the other day, the holy encounter. Again, where astrology can be so useful is, okay, if I'm seeing a brother that I can't stand to be around, or a sister, whoever, because they're triggering something in me, what is that in me that they're triggering? Oh, my chart might help me figure out what's being triggered, and then I can release that, ask for forgiveness, and shine my light again, or whatever. So I thought that was the first thought that occurred to me when I went on this. Okay, astrology in the course. Let me see how. And I went, well, the holy encounter, which was one of the passages, Lina, before I ever studied the course, before I ever did the daily lessons, that I heard somewhere, and it just so resonated with me. It just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I didn't understand it rationally, but I understood it in my soul. So all of this coming together now, and then you inviting me just to have this conversation is so exciting.
Well, and to that point, one of the things that is so exciting about doing this with you is so a little background on when we met. I met Lorelei at a workshop. It was the first uh, personal self-help workshop that I ever attended, and it was about a year before my mom passed away. And in that workshop, I got this big piece of information around my dad and how I had suppressed my voice. And then my mom dies, and let me just say, before that workshop, my dad had passed away. So I went into that workshop pretty tender in still grieving my dad's loss. So that's why that course helped me get information that was deep about my relationship with my dad. Not really, didn't touch hardly anything on my mom. But then the next year my mom passes, and I'd already connected with you, and I knew, okay, I'm in this deep grief. I don't remember if I had you do my chart before mom passed or after mom
Yeah,
passed.
I think it was after, but I don't remember either.
Somewhere, and as I'm reading this, and this was my first time ever having a chart done, other than reading the horoscope in the newspaper back in the day when we used to have newspapers.
Right.
Everybody here, I think, can remember that. It came rolled up and thrown into my driveway, and I one of the first things that I would look at was, okay, what does my horoscope say? Never, because I really believed in astrology, but because it was just a fun thing to read. Sometimes it was on, sometimes it was off, and it was just more of a ritual. But there was information in that, in the chart that you did, that it's almost as if I was thinking to myself, how does she know this about me?
Mm.
How could she know this about me? And then I don't know if you still do it this way, but you gave me my chart and then we met in person and you explained things to me. And it was so revealing in the way that I was able to put things together. And this is almost 10 years before I started studying the Course in Miracles, because I was guided not to study the course until the end of 2011. And I can see looking back why I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
read it, because I was grounding myself in the power of awareness, which the workshop that I feel Jesus gave me to teach, because it broke everything into love or fear, into ego or God. It's very simple. Um, and having you do the chart, it gave me something to work with, that I still have my chart. It's in my storage unit. I still have it.
Well,
And then after that, I think I had you do, my husband at the time, the father of my kids, some of my kids, and having you then years later, we reconnect. I mean, we always stay connected, but we connected at a deeper level when we started, when after I started teaching from the
mm-hmm.
course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really amazing to watch you be able to take nuggets from the course and weave astrology with it. And it fascinated me, because let me just be really clear. The Course in Miracles says that there is nothing that exists outside of us. So the moons and the stars and the planets, according to the course, that is not it doesn't have it. Or let me be more specific. It doesn't have any power over us.
Totally.
So when I'm listening to Lorelei, who is a student of the course, also speak about astrology, to me there is a level of not only a depth that I don't hear with a lot of other astrologers, because they have made the outside very real and your power comes from what's out there. But you bring it back to that place of personal responsibility, which is what the course is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would be fun to have you share some, your perspective about how to use the course and astrology together to help us, because I believe the Holy Spirit uses everything to help us on our journey. And
Mm-hmm.
then open it up to have people ask questions.
Oh, absolutely.
And
If I may, I'd like to just take a couple of minutes to just share with everyone how I came to even work with astrology, because I think it's, and I had a personnel, very small consulting firm in the early 80s and 90s, and I was the personnel resource for companies that didn't have one. And I had, when I first moved to Atlanta in 78, I had worked for this crazy company that made an astrological computer, or they called it, it was a calculator, but it would say the positions of Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And I'd go to trade shows, I would demonstrate this, and I'd say, oh, you have Mercury and blah, blah, blah. That means this. And people would go, how do you know that? I didn't know how I knew it. I was just learning, went into personnel, dragged the tool of astrology with me, number one, to better understand the person I was recruiting for, like what really made them tick, how I could be of best of service, and then the people I was interviewing. And it was so fascinating to see how people were wired astrologically and how they were happy in certain jobs because they were being who they are, they were flowing their energy, they were sharing who they are with others, and in other situations they weren't, and they were sick and they were unhappy. And so I mean, I remember over the years saying to, because when I turned 40, and that's quite a few years ago, like 37, I became an astrologer because I said, I have to do something with this astrology stuff someday. So for me, it's been a real journey and this is for all of us now. Everything you've ever done in your life, whatever it is in service to who you are now and whatever is next on your path. And to me, the course, like I'm looking at what I look at every day when I look over my computer, and I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to go wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. And when I don't know what to do, which is often because it's wondered, the course is so freeing, Lina, in saying, I don't know what anything's for. That's my stock line now about what's going on in the world. God bless you. Is I don't know what anything's for. I'm just going to know that all things work together for good, even though I don't have a clue like anybody else.
It is very liberating, yes, and that was always fascinating to me how you were able to weave astrology and your human resources business so that in personnel, when you're hiring somebody, you want to know a little bit more than just what you read on a resume,
Yeah.
and astrology was so amazing for that. But I always was fascinated by how you could see anybody, it didn't matter, it was 20 years later, and you know their chart. And one of the things that always just, you still tell me, but it doesn't, for whatever reason, doesn't click, I guess, so that I can keep you around. But you tell me that I've got so many planets and
Well, and
Sagittarius.
I was thinking of that earlier. Just here's a real simple one, and I see Kathy's on the call. Hello, fella, another Sagittarius. You
Yeah.
have out of 10 planets, we all have 10, the sun and the moon are lights, but out of the 10 planetary bodies that we work with, you have half, five, sun, moon, Mercury, how you think, Venus, what you love, Mars, what drives you, in Sagittarius, the sign of the eternal optimist. Does that make sense to anybody here, knowing this woman? It's like, there's always a pony in there somewhere. I mean, it doesn't mean you never have a difficult day. You are Virgo rising, so you do. Remember how I told you all that fire, all that enthusiasm comes through the filter of service.
Hmm. Yeah.
The Virgo, it's the priestess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the and yeah. Well, and your chart's coming up in my head, and there's Pluto on the ascendant. That's the part of you that dives right in what we met in. We met in that deep kind of environment.
Yeah.
And I thought of a parallel in terms of, well, it's the course, it's UIO breakthrough, and it's astrology. Is that when we feel safe enough to be who we really are, when we know that in our defenselessness our safety lies. That's another quote from the course that made sense to me on some level before I ever studied. I went, that sounds counterintuitive, but I believe that. I don't know much. That just feels right to me in my bones. And so when we can, be that undefended to be who we are, like what would happen in the course, right? And then be able to play with others by being the light of the world, because all that other stuff, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find within yourself all the barriers that you've built against it.
Yeah.
So you tell me, who said that, the course or Rumi? Because they both said it. I still
Well,
don't know who said it.
and Rumi said that like 800 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
In the introduction, the Course in Miracles tells us that it cannot teach us what love is. It can simply help us look at the obstacles we have built
Yes.
to
And
experiencing.
I guess it shows you, since it's Rumi and the course is not even 100 years old, the truth is truth is truth, right?
Yes, consistent. And then I do want to touch a little bit on, so I had already started some of the Ascension with A Course in Miracles classes on Wednesdays, and you were coming to that. And then next thing you announce is that you had a cancer diagnosis. And I want you to share a little bit about what that journey was like for you as somebody who, you follow astrology, you use it in your day-to-day life. You're becoming this student, very very dedicated student of the course, and then all of a sudden you get this cancer diagnosis. And then of course, like you said, the dark night, which is never of the soul, ever. The soul is light,
Thank you for
it cannot be
confirming
dark.
that. I don't know why some of these wise people keep saying that.
I no, it is totally, and it's not the dark night of the ego, it's the dark years of the ego because it's
Right,
a while. Um,
totally.
but and you entered into that space, and then you used your tools, astrology, you used A Course in Miracles. I was even nagging, you in the background, around that time. And then you've come out of that and have become an even more dedicated student of the course. Share a little bit about how all that weaves together, just so that everybody here knows, the rest of the story in that way of that combination of astrology and Course in Miracles that you were the living example of.
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but I mean, in retrospect, I do. I mean, I've always believed that we don't attract anything by accident. I did believe that. So when that happened, I wasn't surprised on some level. I didn't put it together spiritually. And then when you directed me to responsibility for sight, that everything we have asked for and we receive as we have asked. And it's just only probably in the last year, maybe a little bit more, that I really put it together, because I remember knowing that I was going to be in a major cycle that could have something to do with either a deepening or the death of that playful, joyful, something around that. And I just didn't know what it was. And I can actually say, I mean, I went through a lot of that experience just kind of numb and scared. But, and I was thinking about this today, the level of joy that I would always see in you, obviously it was in me, but we would see it in each other. I really feel that now. I feel that on a level that I didn't before. And for me, I needed that kind of going to my knees, or whatever you want to call it, dark night, dark years, to go there. I couldn't do it here. It had to be something really visceral. And mine was rectal cancer. Well, if that's not root chakra, I don't know what is. It's kind of like old family patterns that needed to be like uprooted. All the scans have been clear. And I've decided, as I said to you on the phone, I'm not doing any more scans. I'm not doing any more of the follow-ups, because I figure I'm under no laws but God's. And when it's my time, it's my time, whatever that means. Anyway, but this comes from the course. I don't have quite the level of fearlessness that you do, because as I told you, I'm watching your lessons every day again, because I love the fact that you use your life as personal examples to illustrate principles from the course. This with Ken or Dan or Spencer or whoever it is. It's just it works for me really well. And of course, I know you, and I love your dedication to the course, and the purity in you. I mean, like when you're, those times that you're brought to tears in one of the lessons, where it just lands for you in a place. So I've never been more grateful in my life. And I look so forward every day to my time with the course, because those workbooks you gave me, the Ken Wapnick workbooks, oh my God. I love him. I go to YouTube and listen to snippets of his. So, I guess I'm looking at my life going, wow, Lorelei, you're really doing your Libra now at a level that you haven't before. And that is, when you have accepted your mission to extend peace, you will find peace. For by making it manifest, you will see it. You listening, Dondra? Hello, Libra. No, but I mean, I'm really, so there's another. I go, well, okay, my soul chose to come in with all this Libra energy. Well, Libra can be wishy-washy and indecisive and people-pleasing and disingenuous. And that's the ego expression. That's what I was thinking about today. So really, one of the gifts of knowing some of somebody else's astrology is to be able to, it's the forgiveness of the ego manifestation of it.
Yeah.
In other words, the lower level, the more unconscious expression, because everything has polarity, right? It's not all just, oh, I'm, because Libra is also gracious, and and it's the ambassador, and it's, I mean, anyway. But again, the lower level of expression, then to me, that's the ego. Because that's not of God. That's not thoughts that are with God. That's lower level competition, whatever it is. So you've opened a door for me, Laina, that is just delicious. You've sent me on a research, and I have Mercury in Scorpio. I'm real good at research. I love when I'm excited about something and then I just drill down, and I'm having a blast with this.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, give give us, not only for who is here, but for anybody who might watch this at some point, who isn't that attuned to astrology and really what it can do, give us an overview of what astrology is all about and how is it a tool? And then I wanted to throw out a couple of the lesson titles and have
Oh,
you
please.
kind of tie it
That'd be great.
and pinpoint where things, would fit. So yeah, give us a little summary.
So I believe, and I usually say this in a session with someone who's never had an astrological session, although now I know my sessions are about the joy meter and all that. Oh, let me just share one thing before I do that. So when I graduated with my degree in counseling in 2013, I had money and I decided to hire two business coaches. So I said, okay, I'm an astrologer, I'm a counselor, I'm an interviewer, and I'm a minister. And then I went, oh my God, ACIM, astrologer, counselor, interviewer, minister. I didn't set out to do that, but that's one of those, Holy Spirit. I went, oh my gosh, look at that. It's Course in Miracles. Um, so I believe that the soul and God, the divine, make an agreement. And we each come in with a way, with light, to shine our light. We each come in with our raw materials, our talents, our abilities, and it's our choice and responsibility to do that. I mean, when people say, well, somebody has a lucky chart or a not lucky chart, you're lucky. We're lucky to have one. It doesn't matter. There is no good or bad. It's all, and I always talk about it as information, Lina.
Yeah.
When people say, well, I don't know if I believe in astrology, it's not like believing in God. To me, the data of astrology is in service to the divine. That's how I've always seen it. And every once in a while, when I would walk someone out of my office condo when I was in personnel, and I would ask them their birthday, if I resonated with them in the interview, I'd say, by the way, what's your birthday? And they'd say, I'm July 2nd. And I'd say, oh, Cancer. And I'd say something about the sign of Cancer. And I noticed people wanted to understand themselves. And once in a while, someone would say, oh, isn't that against the Bible? Now, we grew up Catholic. We didn't even study the Bible as Catholics. But I went to the Bible because I thought, how can this be against God? If I'm using this to be more the light of who I am, I didn't know it that verbiage in that time, but as I look back on it, I went to Genesis and read the first like 14 verses or whatever. And I think it's 14 for chapter 14 verse. It says something like, he made the heaven and the earth, the firmaments. And he said, let them be for signs and for seasons.
Mm.
That's in the Bible. And then I went, you know what? I never, and after that, no one ever asked me if what I was doing was a quote against the Bible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I knew that it was not against the divine. So my point is, we're all imbued with shining our light. And if there are tools we can use to help us do that more, how can that not be of God? How can those not be thoughts of God if it's about love and compassion and joy? And, I think of the manual for teachers, generosity and open-mindedness and all of that. And I'm just, like I said,
And astrology is about signs that help you move through the seasons.
absolutely. Well, just like, for instance, today, all this Leo energy, it just means that there's joy for us to tap into. There always is, obviously. But, at certain times, the sun's a little brighter or it's a little more cloudy than other times. And we're always at choice, right? I mean, we're always at choice. The thing about astrology that's always many things fascinate me, but one is it's a tool to understand how we're wired, and it's a tool for timing, and it's a tool to understand the dynamics of any relationship. Like, why is this mother in my life? Why is this son in my life? The form, the course would basically say the form of the relationship doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter whether it's my husband or my lover or my boss, or in other words, every relationship has a signature. Like, you have a chart, Spencer has a chart, the computer comes up with the midpoint of the two charts, and you have the third entity. Oh, these two people are together to be more courageous or to be more self-reliant. Interesting that their relationship has looked like that. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, the relationship with self. But then, since we're all getting on the ship together, right, Lina? Nobody's going if we don't all go.
That's right. That is an exciting thing about it is that, and the oneness cannot be denied. It is what it is. So one more thing to just kind of clarify. what is the purpose of the 12 signs? And, so how would you explain to somebody who's never heard about astrology how those the
Well, it's the,
yeah.
and this is where I'm not as technically inclined as other astrologers. My job, I know, is to translate the language, is really, because it is a beautiful language of human potential. And most astrologers, many use a lot of jargon, a lot of language, which is beautiful. And I did it for years too, and I didn't even realize it, that it was a barrier. I was actually creating a barrier between other people because I thought, that's got to be a power thing, right? Because they don't, like, people would get my enthusiasm for who they are, but they didn't understand what I was saying
Mm.
necessarily because I was using too much language. So it's the position of where these planets are at the moment of birth. Now, even if someone doesn't have their birth time, an astrologer can still look at where most of the planets were, no matter what time of day that person was born. So the belief that, oh, I can't have my chart done because I don't have the birth time, there is still so much information. And I know I keep getting clearer and clearer, and especially again being a Libra, which is a bridge. Libra is about being a bridge, and I'm an interviewer. That's a Libra skill as well. I'm supposed to translate. I have a master's degree in German. I speak German and French. Well, I did, but they're not anymore. But again, to translate, okay, here's this beautiful divine language of the stars, to be able to translate it where someone can use it basically to live these principles. I mean, there are many tools, of course, whatever ones resonate. But I just, to me, to be, and you know what I thought the common denominator is, Laina? The joy that I feel when I'm doing it. And that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be shining my light. And if that's something that brings me joy, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I'm shining my light, which is what we're all here to do.
Exactly, exactly. Well, then let me jump in, and I want to go ahead and share just a couple of the titles of some
Oh,
lessons
yeah, that'd be great.
and how do you connect those? And we'll do one or two, and then I want to open it up for everybody here if you got any comments or questions. And
And this is not rehearsed, by the way, folks.
yeah,
This is like in the moment.
in the moment, and I'm opening up my book and picking things randomly. So this is lesson number 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts.
Mm.
Because when I came to see you and I got my chart, it became so evident that my history, my issues with mom and dad were being kind of exposed. So when we have a lesson like this that is flat out telling you your mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, how how do you tie that?
Okay, so
How
okay, so
astrology can help.
so the first thing that comes to me is someone who has a lot of cancer. And now, of course, the big C for me is the sign of cancer. The little c is the dis-ease of cancer. So my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. That's very much of a cancer trait, or someone that would have a strong moon energy. They may tend to be more preoccupied with past thoughts than somebody else. Somebody else might not have difficulty with that, let's say. I mean, we know it's kind of generic for the human, but certain people might have, where we may know someone and go, my God, they're still holding on to that. Gee, and then I would say, well, then I must be holding on to something. If I'm seeing it over there, I must be holding on to something that I'm not letting go of. So my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And it's interesting you would say that, because the planet Jupiter now, that your guardian angel planet as a Sag, that planet, and you too, Kathy, that planet is in Cancer. It's in the sign of Cancer, which is home and family and connection and belonging and being preoccupied with past thoughts. So there's amazing family healings that can happen now, both biofamily, families of frequency, families of vibration. I'm really seeing that big time. So yeah, so that lesson I would tie into literally what's going on now for a year, where everyone is going to be able to see wisdom, Jupiter, in their emotions, in their feelings. Wisdom, whatever the wisdom of the past, let's say. But yeah, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Yeah, very much a Cancer trait.
Okay. So then when we have our charts done, if we have more of some signs versus others, there are tendencies that are stronger, like to be more of the worrier and the thinking of the past and the ruminating than
Yes.
the other
Yeah,
signs.
like yes, someone may be spending more of this lifetime in that particular scenario or adventure than somebody else,
Yeah.
let's say.
And one of the things that's fascinating to me about astrology is because it was something that was so new to me, like I said, other than horoscopes, uh, it was in a way a little frightening because it was revealing things that I knew, but I did not know anybody could pinpoint.
Yeah.
So that was a really exciting thing about doing that. So here's another lesson. This one is lesson 28. And the title of the lesson is Above All Else, I Want to See Things Differently.
Mm.
How does that tie in to our charts and to somebody who is on this journey and really wants to see things differently? You know,
Well, again, I'm just going with what's coming to me as you're reading the lesson. The first thing that comes to me with that is if there were ever a time on the planet for us to see things differently, it's now. I mean, and what I mean by that is there's cycles going on planetary wise. And again, I'm not going to bore everybody with the technicality, but all of the outer planets have changed signs. We don't know when the last time that even happened, in any kind of civilization. But so I'm determined to see things differently. If there were ever a time to be able to look at your life and just move one foot to the right or one foot to the left, it would be now. And to me, the course is so empowering because once we get how it works, we know it's simple but not easy kind of thing, because it's the repetition, it's like the now moment, right? I'm determined to see things differently. One of the spiritual teachers that I listen to, this Keith Kavanaugh, who's wonderful. He's got an Irish brogue, and he says that the course is the gospel of now. I mean, it's and I've always understood that notion of the present moment. Oh yeah, this is the only moment. In the past and the future. But I really am getting it now from doing the course. I really get that when I'm in the moment and I see you, Heidi, even though you're not on camera, when I don't judge it and I don't resist it and I don't attach to it and I'm just in it, that's a whole new skill for me. If I'd had these skills when I went through the cancer adventure, it would have been a little easier. But obviously, I wasn't supposed to have those skills because I didn't have them.
yeah.
But yeah, so I love that. I'm determined to. And you know what we did in our Course in Miracles group yesterday on Thursday? We did this once at 9:30 too. We read the titles in a row of the first 50 lessons.
Hmm.
When you read the titles of the lessons in a row, it it makes even more sense how they each follow each other. Anyway, I'm just riffing as whatever's Holy Spirit's given me to say.
And here's the last one that I'm going to do. And if somebody has their chart and they gain the tool of information, how could lesson 106, let me be still and listen to the truth? How would a chart be helpful if we're prepared to be still and listen to the truth when we're listening to information in our chart?
So here's what comes to me when you ask me that question. This is no ego filter either, because this is just what's coming to me. Say the title of the lesson again.
Let me be still and listen to the truth. Lesson 106.
So since the only thing that's true is love, the only thing that's true and real is love, understanding one's chart can help one be more love. Simple. In other words, because we are happy when we are being all of who we are. When we are being all of who we are, when we are accepting and loving all of who we are and sharing that, extending it, as the Course says, we are happy. We are in joy. And I mean, I know that now. It's like I didn't know that before. And so my adventure and that chapter 21, responsibility for sight, when we started our Thursday Course in Miracles group, the woman who was the impetus behind it, Debbie, that's the chapter we started with. And
Wow.
I said, I can't believe that, Debbie. And then I told her the whole story of how you directed me to that. And I get it. And I read it often. In fact, Lina, I tap in that prayer that's in italics in that second chat, whatever it is, every day about I've invited it in and I will receive as I have asked.
Yeah. Oh, how
Because
beautiful.
it takes the judgment out of it,
Yes,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
all things work together for good, except in the ego's judgment. There are no exceptions.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And in the chart, not only did it help me see, that's the first time I'd ever heard that I was supposed to be a teacher. Long before I ever started studying, I was like, what do you mean I have that potential? But it also showed some things where there was selfishness and self-centeredness, and I got to see, wow, potentials that I could live into. And then all of a sudden, I've got this desire, not a desire, it was a calling because I heard this is what you're going to do. And I was like, well, I'm going to teach. I don't know what I'm teaching. Um,
Mm.
but I learned to
You could
trust.
teach. I was thinking of you, thinking with 5 planets in Sagittarius. I thought you could teach anything. If it brings you joy, you could teach. It's like you're wired to be able to teach it.
And I love it. So let's do this. Let's open it up. So you guys
Okay.
heard a little bit about Lorelei, a little, a lot about me because those of you who've been studying with me for a while, and we're trying to connect Course in Miracles and astrology. If you know astrology, ask whatever question you want to ask that is specific to you. If you don't know a lot about astrology, ask whatever comes into your consciousness to ask because it's going to be perfect. So whoever
Can I
wants,
just before we do that? Can I? Because I made some. I just want to say a couple things that I wrote down that just came earlier today. Because I was thinking again, what's the connection? How do they support each other? Well, if you understand how somebody's wired, it helps. It helps in accepting and forgiving our ego manifestations that we're projecting onto them and seeing as their ego manifestations, right? Then the nothing is random and the holy encounter. I guess that was the other thing. Um, and you know what I wrote down from something? Everyone is looking, this is from somewhere in the course, everyone is looking for himself and for the power and glory he thinks he has lost. Whenever you are with anyone, you have another opportunity to find them.
Mhm.
Whenever you are with anyone, you have another opportunity to find them. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
Because
holy.
I went to Google and I put in astrology and Course in Miracles just to see what would come up. So I spent a lot of the day just reading stuff.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for doing that.
No, it was what a joy.
Awesome. So just go ahead and if you want to share something, just lift up your hand and that way I know who wants to go and we'll have that person unmuted. Just anything that you want to ask, it's all good. And if for any reasons we don't have questions, I'll keep doing the same thing and bring up lessons. Yes, Stacy, thank you so much. Let's get you to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, my mother and aunt were into astrology. So, my mom had my chart done for me when I was a kid. So, I know what time I was born and all, and had somebody do my chart, but I've never had anybody explain the chart to me with the 12 houses and how the everything aligns. But um, you were talking about Sagittarius, and I'm Sagittarius born on the cusp of Scorpio. So I'm curious about what you're talking about with Lina and Kathy and angels.
So what is your birthday?
November 23rd, 1970.
Yeah, wow. Because I had two C-sections and I scheduled my daughter's birth for November 22nd to be a Sag rather than a Scorpio. And then I gave it to God and I said, you know what, if I'll go into labor and all bets will be off. Well, first of all, since I don't have your other data, but just knowing that you're Sag, but this is beautiful with the course. I'm the light of the world, right? We're all here to shine our light. Well, that's what the sun in the chart is about. How do I shine my light? Sagittarius. Now, again, this is not taking into account any other aspects of your personality because I don't know astrologically. So I'm just focusing on the fact that your soul chose to come in with the sun in this energy. Sag is the eternal optimist. You know, Sag is there's a pony in here somewhere. it's teaching and selling and marketing, and Sag is travel. A lot of people with Sag energy, they love to travel. But Sag is like, there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, someone that's wired with, there may be people here that aren't a Sagittarius sun, but have planets in Sag that can relate to what I'm saying, that they have a part of them that has this, well, let me see the upside of it versus the downside. Now, if that doesn't resonate as strongly with you, then there are other influences. But it would basically mean that you're wired, in traditional astrology, Sagittarius is the most positive, upbeat. It's all going to be okay. It's all happening for a reason. It's the sign of philosophy. As I said, teaching and selling. When I was in personnel and I would recruit salespeople for companies at that time, many of them were former teachers, because teachers and selling, teaching and selling a good teacher is really selling what they love, what they're, by the way, your husband has a planet in Sag, Heidi. But Sagittarius is, and it's humor. Sagittarius is humor, but your face is not showing that you're right.
I actually
tell your face.
think a lot of things are funny, but I don't express that side of me very often. I'm in a different environment now, and it's anyway.
But I'll bet when you do, well, if you obviously Laina, so you're attracted to that energy. You're attracted to that way of looking at life, which is a choice, right?
I love laughter.
It's
all
a choice
to me, really.
What'd you say?
I love laughter, and it's all funny to me.
So let me jump in here at Lorelei. Let me a little something about Miss Stacy. So she has had an incredible life. And Stacy, can I say a little bit about you?
Well, you know what?
Sure,
As
you say whatever you want. I don't care.
Stacy, give me the year of birth. I'm just going to go put you in the computer, and I'll be on here, but I'm just going to go to the other screen. November 23rd. What's the year?
1973 a.m. And I have my chart somewhere, so I want to your information.
Yeah. No. Laina, go on. I'm just going to put her in here because I want to.
Did you say 1970 or 1973?
70.
70. Okay.
1970, November 23rd.
So here's what I want to say about. Oh, go ahead, Lorelei.
And what you said, you have your time. What is it?
3 a.m.
And where?
Winter Haven, Florida.
Winter Haven. Okay. All right, Laina, you're on.
So Stacy has had, and I'm going to talk here in Course in Miracles language. Your script was written. You chose to incarnate and have a journey that would take you at a very young age into some pretty dark places. So talk about that optimist that you knew you were going to, at some point, your soul knew we're going to get through this, and doing the work that has been absolutely, tough work to enter into, diving into what was blocking you, what had you take those dark paths and discover who you are. I mean, that's really a beautiful thing. So when we take astrology, at least as I understand it, and you may not resonate with that, you are a teacher or a salesperson. However, we've been talking a lot about finding, activating that voice, not finding it, it's there, activating that voice and letting you use that voice to teach, which is basically to share how you have overcome so many things.
Oh, I've got some stuff to say.
Okay, go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, big time. Okay, so yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, just my experience of you, even though it's through the screen, the intensity of you, and then what you just shared, Laina. Yes, you're a Sagittarius with significant Scorpio energy. The planet Venus is in Scorpio. For a Sag, the position of the planet Jupiter in the chart is very important, because Jupiter is your guardian angel or your ruling planet. Your Jupiter is in Scorpio, which is understanding wisdom and growth through loss, among other things. So, and then you have a moon in Virgo next to the planet of power. So I would say that your soul definitely came in to probably have some pretty transformative emotional experiences. But
Mm-hmm.
here's what's and that's fascinating, but here's the really fascinating part. You chose to come in with the planet of trust and intuition and inspiration and imagination, the planet Neptune, right next to your Sagittarius sun. That's like being a Pisces. That's like being a Pisces Sag. And Pisces is the most intuitive, trusting. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So even with all what you just said, even with all that you could have experienced, and you could, there's nothing you could tell me that would surprise me. Nothing. I mean, as there's no thing that it would not surprise me from the standpoint of some intensity, but yet your soul came in to trust that somehow all things work together for good. I mean, it would be, you know what it would be? It would be like Einstein, who was a Pisces, who said there are only two ways to live life. One is though everything is a miracle, or nothing is a miracle. And so there's this tremendous trust, like no matter what you live through, there must have been this person on board, or your soul going, it's going to be okay, or I'm here with you, or you're not alone, or I don't know. Because to be a sun Neptune next to the sun, you could go Google that and just put born with Neptune next to the sun and just read whatever comes up. But that's like being a Pisces Sag, and Pisces and Sagittarius are the two most spiritual signs in the zodiac.
You're
I
muted.
love that. Yeah. Stacy, is there anything else you want to ask Lorelei around this?
Not at the moment. I'm just grateful for all this information and looking to explore that more. When she was talking about the high priestess and different things, the tarot cards have the high priestess and the cosmic dancer and all that stuff. So my mind's going, oh my goodness, I'm going to have so much fun with the Course in Miracles and the Tree of Life and blah blah blah. Because it's just fun to me to weave all of that together, because it's all connected
Yeah.
and it's all beautiful. When you can
Yes.
see this fits here, that fits there with the planets. And
Yeah, it's almost like no matter what circumstances or what forms things have taken in your life, there's like this something in the background going, it's okay, I'm safe. So, yeah, I mean, God's here, or whatever you say to yourself. I mean, it's and as I said, there's no good or bad chart. It's a path. It's a path, and we're always at choice. And I believe we're all here to be responsible for what we came in with. So if we came in to be the light in a particular way, and we're not doing that, I'm not, then we're not going to die with a smile on our face.
And by the way, I will share Lorelei's contact information with everybody in the academy so that you guys can reach out to her directly.
Well, you guys are definitely moving something. My whole leg is just shaking. Something's going on with all this. So
Awesome. And that's the whole point of looking at from different perspectives. The course tells us that a miracle is a shift in perspective. And everything that is available to us as a tool, the Holy Spirit will use to help us shift our perspective and experience a miracle. And this just happens to be one of those tools. Tarot cards is another tool. Crystals are another tool. Quantum physics is another tool. Everything can be used to help us gain a clearer understanding of who we are as a soul, as a spirit, as God created us, and then to see what blocks that from expressing itself, which is the egoic side. And of course, all these tools help us see that. But thank you so much for
and you know what, Stacy, knowing how you're wired, that took guts.
Oh yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes, totally.
Good for you.
It likes to stay in the background.
And one of the things about the course, so many things, but it's so poetic. I mean, the way Jesus, the way the words that are the raucous shrieks of the ego. I mean, or whatever it is, just to say, I don't know. It's just, I'm more in love with this teaching every single day. I am. And as I said, I so love the time that I dedicate to it every day, you know, and I feel so grateful to be able to do that, or to choose to
Me
do that, I
too.
should say.
Yes, and when something really strikes Lorelei, she'll send me a text. Oh, you gotta.
Listen to this chant. Oh, my latest one
Love it.
is, oh my God, there's this ACIM tunes, music like tunes, and they have these beautiful chants for some of the lessons. And there's one where it's the first one I've ever heard where it's, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And it's beautiful. If anybody wants it, reach out to me. I've got it on my phone. I'm happy to send it to you.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Or send it to me and I'll post it in the
Oh, I
academy.
will. I'll send it to you.
Lorelei's going to join us in the academy because she wants to be part of some of the conversations that
Oh,
we're
good to see you
have
guys.
mentioned to her. So who else has a question maybe about your birth date or just anything that was shared here that you'd like to
Come on, Kathy.
I'm just so happy to see the two of you together. I'm over here just grinning from ear to ear. I just love this so much. Oh my God. And I love the connection, astrology to ACIM. I had actually asked my chat that earlier because I was really curious to see what the correlations would be. So I'll share that also in the thing.
Yes, what did your Virgo moon come up with, Kathy?
Oh, well, different maps, same goal, right? Astrology is a classroom, ego versus spirit, transits and timings is forgiveness opportunities, all sorts of things. It was fun. But yeah, I would just love when you were talking about Laina, when you were saying how Lorelei, remembers everything. And I just remember meeting Lorelei originally in 1990 and then reconnecting in 2013. And not only did she remember me, but she remembered my chart, my partner's name, all the circumstances around when we met. So I apologize. I've got to jump off to another 8 o'clock Zoom. But yeah, you got anything to share, Lorelei? Because yeah, my life just upside down again. I moved into a new space, so I'm in a new home that is my hopefully somewhat permanent.
Well, that's beautiful because you're a Sag and Jupiter's in Cancer. So, and the last time Jupiter was in Cancer was 12 years ago. Like my daughter is a Sag. I've got all these Sags in my family, and she moved and she's moving again this year. But I would say it from the standpoint of not just being in your physical home,
right.
But I know you know this, but being in your home, that home, because remember, you've got Mars in Cancer. You've got, you're a Sag, which is all the Sag characteristics and qualities that you have as well, the eternal optimism, et cetera, although maybe a little less than Laina only because of the Virgo, but she's Virgo rising.
It's my Virgo moon, yeah.
Yeah, but she's got Virgo rising, but she's got so much Sag that overrides everything. But, one of the things that I've always loved about you is your upbeat belief in life, which is very Sagittarius, and your care of people, your caring, your nurturing energy, your connection, belonging. I'm Cancer rising. I've always felt very safe with you, and doing our thing, whatever it is. And so I would say, so in this next few months, Jupiter's going to come to your Mars, expansion of desire, expansion of passion. That could be expansion of home. Didn't you have a grandchild, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's really sort of leaning into, again, the wisdom of everything that we feel, which, the people are going to be unearthing things that they forgot about on a feeling level. But the opportunity is to be able to, again, to experience tremendous wisdom in, and gratitude, because all things work together for good. Yeah. So I'm happy to hear you say it feels like,
yeah.
Whatever forever is, right?
Right, exactly. Forever for right now. And it's just the whole, like, I know you preach it every day. Joy is the compass, right? That's just what it's about.
I'm so grateful to know that now. I mean, I never knew that for me. I kept thinking it was about astrology, or it was about counseling, or it was about interviewing. It's all of that, but it's in service to this, which
you bet.
Yeah. So I'm stepping into something that I've never done, but and I don't even know what it looks like. I know some of it, but it's just anyway. I'm yeah.
We will connect offline. Good.
Okay,
Yay.
sweetie. So good to
So
see you.
happy to see you guys.
And Kathy, stay there for one quick second. I know you got to jump off, but I want everybody to see this woman's beautiful face.
Yes.
She has she is the help, the co-creator with me in
Oh,
building the academy because of her technical skills and just
mm,
all that stuff. So when you go in there and it's so easy to use and navigate and you figure it out and all the courses are laid out so beautifully, Kathy is the one who has made all that possible. So
Oh,
anyway, so thank you, Miss Kathy.
you're so welcome. And when it doesn't work, email me. All
Yes. So let me throw
right,
out
y'all.
another lesson to you, Lorelei, and then
okay.
we'll open it up to somebody
Love you
else.
guys.
So this is lesson 130, and it says it is impossible
To see
to
two
see
worlds.
two worlds. How can knowing our chart help us get clear? The path of the ego and the path of the Holy Spirit are totally different. We cannot really, truly, in the same moment, be in both worlds, which is what causes so much of our suffering because we're going back and forth, and we know this feels better, but we keep repeating the thing that we don't, that brings us suffering and that brings us pain, and keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. How recognizing that we cannot see it's impossible. And I highlight the word impossible to see two worlds when we have our chart. How can that, for a student of the course, make that easier to navigate our charts?
Well, I mean, again, what an interesting question. I mean, what comes to me just is it's impossible to see two worlds because it's either love or it's fear. Well, if I'm expressing the more conscious, higher level expressions of my personality, then I'm in love. If I'm expressing the lower level, unconscious ego stuff of my personality, well, like I'll take Libra, which is my sun sign. When I say high and low, I don't mean better or worse, but a conscious expression of Libra energy is to be the bridge between whatever and to be the ambassador and to be the diplomat and make peace, right? So if I'm when you've accepted your that I said before about when I've accepted my mission to extend peace, I will find peace. If I'm being a ego driven Libra, let's say, I mean, I've never said these words before, but then I would be more in the, oh, I'm going to say this to please this person, because talk about special relationships, right? What do I need to say to be in relationship with this person, whether it's a lover or a family member or a business thing or whatever, that would be the fear that would only come from fear. So when you say that, and we spent a lot of time on that lesson in our both groups, it's impossible to see two worlds, because it was a recent lesson. Yeah. But that's what comes to me. I'm going to ponder these things, but what comes to me is if it's love and fear, if I'm thinking only thoughts with God and expressing myself in that way, using these Libra qualities of sharing and wanting to bring people together in a way, as opposed to people pleasing and approval seeking and all that stuff, that's what comes to me in this moment about. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, yeah, wonderful. Um, so before I do another one of those, who has something you might want to ask Lorelei? And again, like Stacy did, be specific with your birth date. Go ahead, Miss Susie.
I'm not shy. December 12th, 1960. I don't have the time.
Another Sag. 12/12/60. Okay. Do you know what you have a time?
No.
Okay. All right. So say something that what has landed for you about this, or not.
Of course, the Course of Miracles and what you were just saying there about the two worlds. And when I wrote love would be trusting and fear would be control. Trying to look at those two worlds of letting go of that ego of control or planning and protection. And then the other world would be, like you said, feeling safe, trusting that no matter what is happening, I am safe. And that's where I'm at right now, is really my heart is starting to embrace that trusting that I am safe and that I am here and it all works for a greater good and that my purpose will is being defined to me. It's not going to be a definition, but it is going to be a verb, an action that's happening within me on a constant.
Well, it's really interesting that Kathy just left because you're born just a few days apart, same year.
Oh,
So what
okay.
I said to her about Mars in the chart, Mars in our chart is what drives us. It's what we're passionate about. It's what propels us to take action. You have Mars in the most emotional, sensitive home, family, path, Cancer, the sign of Cancer. And when you were born, the planet Mars was appearing to go backwards. That's not a bad or good thing. It just means that I would say you're going to have a beautiful opportunity to really explore, great Sag word, your emotional self or because, yeah, I mean, Mars in Cancer means that, feeling safe, feeling secure. In my defenselessness, my safety lies.
Right.
That if this were me from that standpoint, that would be my mantra. That would be one of my, if I were you, it would be one of my mantras because that that part of you that is passionate about connection and belonging and safety and security and nourishment and all the beautiful things that Cancer represents, that part of you is being invited to expand in this next few months.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Because I have that where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say and to whom? I bought coffee cups that I keep that say that. And so yeah,
Did
that's
you find those on Redbubble?
I don't know where I found them. I kept typing it in until I found it up.
This
So
is my mug. Oh, you can't see this. Oh, it reminds me of you, Lina. It says I'm entitled to miracles on one side and these little stickers. I'm the light of the world on the other.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
No,
that. Well, I want
no.
to say something about Susie. Laura, you said the word explore. She is coming to us right now in her motorhome that she bought after her husband passed away, and she has just gone on to explore the US.
Oh, that's perfect. Bringing your home with you to explore. That's
Right.
perfect for your chart.
That's my sanctuary, my exploration, yeah, when you said
Oh
explore, that's
my
what I was
gosh.
thinking about. And
Home on wheels because Sag is the traveler, but you have this strong home energy. So to travel with your home with you, that's beautiful. That's
yeah.
great.
And
Really
not to
cool.
mention when you started studying with me and diving into the course, it was like deep dive. There was absolutely there was no, well, let me see if I like this or I'll try for a week or for a month. There was not that. It's like whoosh, we're going all the way. I'm not coming out until I'm free on the other side.
Yeah.
For the first time I could breathe. For the first time I could really breathe, because everything just felt soothing. It
Yeah.
felt soothing. There wasn't anything
Soothing is that's a great Cancer word that you just used. That's beautiful.
I didn't, there was no contraction of, wait a minute, I don't get that. It was like, you don't get it, you don't have to get it, you'll get it. Automatically when I would think that, I'd automatically, it'll come, it'll
Yeah.
come, it'll come. And
Mm.
I could lose that sense of expectation for myself that I should be better than this, or I need to have it all figured out. And, you taught me how, no, or, just your essence gave me that feeling of, wow, I am really healing. I am really, like I told you the other day, I really think I'm a pretty sweet little girl, and I didn't feel that for a long time. I'm a sweet little chick. I like me. And, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
Oh, and when you live so many along, and, Stacy and I giggle all the time. We are definitely gigglers. So the laughter, she is a laughter. She's shy about it sometimes. Sometimes she's a little, she doesn't bring it out, but she and I can laugh. We are good laughers.
Mm. Love that.
Thank you both so much.
Yes,
So.
thank you.
You, thank you. What about you, Janie? Anything you want to ask? You want to jump in the conversation?
There I am. Hi, this is so fun. Um, I had my chart done, Lorelei, one time, and they told me that I had no planets in my relationship house, that my relationship house was empty. What would that mean?
Well, I'm so glad that you said that because I have an empty relationship house too, and I've been married 6 times. So there you go. That busts that notion. There's still always a planet, I mean, a sign on the cusp. So even if it, so isn't it interesting? I mean, I've been married all those times. I have no planets in there. So it means that where there are planets would be greater focus. It doesn't mean you don't have relationships. What's your birthday?
March 12th,
Oh, so you're Pisces. And the year?
61.
So when you heard that, that's what landed for you, right? Like in other words, wow, I've got no planets in there. So what did you tell yourself when you heard that? Like what
That this is not a lifetime. I mean, I've had relationships, but I figured I'm not going to have that soulmate relationship, that one that's just going to, you know, just be very cohesive and, find that one that just have a spiritual connection with. And
well, my stock line there is it's being your own soulmate. I mean, in other words, and then they show up because everyone's a reflection of us anyway. And it's interesting, while you're a Pisces, which is the most trusting, and as I said before, it's one of the two most spiritual signs in the zodiac and one of the two most creative, and it's total trust. I mean, Pisces is, often people with Pisces energy can have challenges with boundaries because they know we're all one. So why do we need boundaries, right? You have a lot of Capricorn energy. I would say that quote is perfect. Well, it's perfect for all of us about my task is not to seek for love, you could say, but to seek and find within myself all the barriers that I've built against it. You got a lot of Capricorn is great. It's all good energy, but Capricorn, you could have a very strong judgmental, which goes against your nature. You're not, it goes against, but it's because Pisces just trusts. Pisces is rose-colored glasses. Pisces is, just it's the rainbow. It's the Wizard of Oz. But you have a lot of pragmatic, realistic. It's like you're a realistic dreamer or a pragmatic, inspired imagination person. But see what, and I still, by the way, I still intend, hopefully, with God to have the relationship with a man that I've never really had, even though I've been married all these times, because I know that what we all teach best what we most need to learn. And so where I hang out with that is, it's not about getting anything. It's about, I just want to continue to remove the barriers to this essence, which is what I've always seen so mirrored in Laina, and you all do, I know, because she comes by it so naturally. But yeah, so I would say if there's a desire in your heart for a certain form of relationship, even see, I'm also in a place where I want all my relationships to be holy. Wherever they're special, I want to translate them, transfigure whatever into holy relationships with everyone, not just the one. I love when people say, I'm not in a relationship. Really? You're not in a relationship with anyone? And what they mean is the romantic form, but the Course doesn't care about the form. And our ego puts so much emphasis on the form. He's my husband, or she's my this, and that's, yeah. So I would say if that's the desire of your heart, if that desire is in your heart, God put it there. That's what I tell myself. So thank you for me. That's what I say to you, because that's what I want to say to me.
And
oh,
and
thank you
Jane,
so much.
like what we talked about yesterday during our coaching call, you are so willing to look deep, 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 even into past lives, to those obstacles that have been built to block you from experiencing not only your light, but being that love that you are. So yes, you are definitely, as Lorelei was saying, building a very, very deep relationship with yourself. And let me say this, in this 3D world, when we descend into this density, the so much of what the ego does is, well, all of what the ego does is send us outside of ourselves to look for love in all the other places, to look for happiness, for safety. So waking up is a process of untangling or untethering or cutting the cords to all of the ways that we have given our power away. But the work is, I have to do it here. I'm the one who has to cut the cords, meaning I've got to stop doing the thing that I've been doing that is keeping me from my joy and my happiness. That is building a relationship with ourselves because we're recognizing that in every situation, we have always been the common denominator.
Hmm.
And that awareness is necessary for deep healing to happen. So thank you so much for stepping in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Laura,
Thank you.
absolutely. I want to give you one more, another lesson. And
This is so fun. This is so cool.
I know we will have to
On
do
the
this
spot
again.
to find a connection.
We'll have to do this again for sure.
Yes, really. This is so
Fun.
fun.
So this is lesson 236. I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. How does that tie to understanding our charts? I rule my mind, which I alone must rule.
Well, it's really managing our tendencies. I mean, or, in other words, again, what just comes to me intuitively when you say that, say the quote again.
I rule my mind, which I alone must rule.
Yeah. And I would say it's about being responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I rule my mind as if I'm responsible for my thoughts, right? So, and again, certain people may be wired where being responsible might be easier than somebody else. Somebody else may get it sooner. But again, it's it's I'm always at choice. I'm always at choice. Yeah.
How would you tie that to what Janie said, having, I forget exactly how you put it, no houses in the
No planets in the relationship
planets.
house.
Yeah. So how would, for like with her, she's asking about this question and she would like a relationship, but how does I rule my mind, which I alone must rule, facilitate that relationship with
Well,
herself?
I think number one, it's being responsible for all the thoughts that you have that you're not going to have one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in other words, all those thoughts that are coming up that, I haven't done it, or I rule my mind by being responsible for how you're thinking about it. I mean, believe me, you're giving me an opportunity to talk to myself as I'm talking to you. But yeah, I rule my mind. To me, because we are responsible for what we think. No one else is responsible for what we think. And that's the good news and the bad news, but it's really the good news because we really do have the power, if we choose to change the way we're thinking. So however you've held the whole subject of relationship, like I'm so afraid I'm never going to have the one I want. Well, there's an ego. I mean, there's a love holds no grievances, right? I mean, there's a fear thought that comes up. Mm-hmm. And with all that Capricorn energy, I would think we all have this, but there's a lot of outer conditioning with you, like how you grew up or how you were programmed, or even though Pisces is about total trust. Did you grow up in a very parochial environment? Like, was somebody strict or?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a strict father, but
well, when you have a lot of Capricorn energy, especially the moon, often the individual tends to grow up early, like they're an adult early on in their life. That's what their soul has chosen to have to be responsible as a kid. Like you could have been the oldest or you could have been the youngest, but still responsible for a lot of what went on in the household. I don't know. The interesting news is you can feel younger and lighter as you get older, mm-hmm. because there's so much of that early. I don't know if that makes any sense for you.
Well, I do have my relationship with God. I've been in love with God my whole life. And and I think of God as the beloved. I love the ecstatic poetry of Rumi, and that's what I think about and feel that love. So I guess, my relationship house.
I think
It's
we
not
should,
empty.
I think either a class or a conversation would be really cool for those of us that would like to attract the form of romance, right? I mean, I know the course doesn't care about the form, but that kind of relationship, holy versus special. Like let's do a course on how to create a holy in that particular, for those anyway. That would be fun.
A
Thank
long
you.
time ago, I did a holy relationship class, and it was really, really good.
Oh wow, that would, oh man, I'd love that.
It's been so many years, so maybe
I'm in.
re,
Yeah,
uh, re
I mean, let's just say, just right here for just a second, someone like myself who wants to have that additional form of relationship. How do I create? I want to create all my relationships as holy. So, you know, like, and whatever I would need to learn to do, I've been in that inquiry with myself. It's like, well, I know that what I might have been in before, none of that's of interest to me.
Yeah, totally, totally. And as we continue deeper to go, and I say the word deeper, but it's really wider. It's
Right.
expanding further out from the limitations of what's possible. So awesome. Well, let's see, Heidi, is there anything you want to share?
Hi, no, it's just nice to meet you, Linnea. I got home late and I went on to my text and I saw this link. So I just jumped on completely unexpected, not knowing what it was. So thank you. It's been very joyous and happy and it's a very incredibly last minute thing for me. So hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you all.
Oh, Heidi, give us a piece of course wisdom from you, just because you're such a beautiful light and teacher in your own just being. I mean, just
You're
like what,
very kind.
like just that you're here now. What, tell us something, course. Tell
You
something.
first off, I don't claim to know anything. I don't have any understanding. Um, of course, I look at the course daily and contemplate. I believe that holy relationship is with our holy self, which is one, which is everyone. There is only one. And so a holy relationship, we all have that with Holy Spirit, with our higher self, it's all one. And we have that. Everybody has that. We don't have to try to have a holy relationship. We can't not have it. When you go within, you can experience that. And so that's where I'm looking at now and spending more time going within. I know that's my next step. That's my next part of the journey. So yeah. So if that speaks to anybody,
So good to
if
see you.
not,
I was going to text
pretty
you today and
excited.
say, I miss you, Heidi. Where are you?
I know I miss you
And
too.
I
So
got
this
to
has been
see
a
you.
lot
There
of
you
fun.
are.
A lot of fun. So
Yeah.
anyway, nice, like I said, to meet y'all.
Thank you, Heidi. And Heidi, I completely agree. We already have a relationship with the Holy Spirit. You cannot not have it. If you're breathing, it's because the Holy Spirit is the life force that you are experiencing. And
Yeah.
like with love, we're not here to learn what love is. We're really not here to learn what Holy Spirit is. We're here to remove all the obstacles to that relationship. We're here to let go of everything that stands in the way of the recognition that if you are, is because God is, and it is being you. So yeah, so many beautiful nuggets. Thank you there. And Lorelei, look who jumped in.
I
Pete.
see. Peter, are you going to come on camera?
Oh, so sweet to see that.
Uh,
And while Peter decides if he's going to see his
he has
beautiful
to decide
face.
if he's in Cancer sun mode or Libra moon mode.
Dondra, what about you? Do you have any thoughts around this conversation? Anything you want to ask Lorelei as a
Well,
student that you
it
are?
has been probably 5 or 6 years since I've had she's done my chart. So I'm definitely up for one to be done. And my biggest thing is she's talking about moving. I moved back to my hometown, and I've been here for a little over 4 years. And it's like, do I stay here or do I move on?
I
I don't
remember
know.
when you moved.
Yeah.
What did you say?
No, I said I remembered when you moved.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like every day I'm thinking, is this where I'm supposed to be, or not supposed, but is this where I'm going to be the rest of my life? I don't know.
Well, the question that comes to me is, how much joy do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 being there?
Ooh.
As opposed to, am I supposed to be here or be there? Like when you're there, how much joy do you experience being there?
That's what's kind of bothering me. I'm not feeling very joyful about it. So it's probably a 3 or 4.
Well,
but my family's here.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of
maybe there's family. Is there family healing possibly that can go on, which is maybe why it doesn't feel so comfortable to be there? I don't know.
Probably so, most definitely.
How's your daughter?
She's doing great. And my son, thank goodness for the Course of Miracles. Last night, I just found out yesterday, or we did yesterday, last night, he's got a mass on his liver. And it brought back so many memories because of my husband's cancer was 13 years ago, and that's what he died with. And so this has come up just last night. So I've just had to really go into, I did go into fear, but then I thought everything is working like it's supposed to. And just the different quotes from the Course of Miracles kept coming through. And I felt a peace that I have not felt in a long time.
That's wonderful.
That's beautiful. But to Heidi's point, if you are feeling a 3 of joy, it's not that the town, the city, the community doesn't have joy. Is that you are blocking the joy that you are to bring to the community. So every single situation is always an opportunity for us to see how the mind has been trained. This is why we must take control over our mind, which we alone must rule. Because if the mind has been trained in that I can't be happy here, it's not fun here, it's not joyful here, those are the blocks to the awareness of the presence of the love and the joy, the Holy Spirit that is already within us. So that relationship that we're cultivating must be inside, because that is where we're going to experience all of the yummy goodies that the Course promises. That any path that is leading us to liberation, all are leading us to remember and recognize and activate and then extend that which is the love, the joy, the peace, all the good stuff that we're looking for is already within.
Yeah, it makes me think of the no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you leave there a 3, you're only going to go wherever you go. The 3, 4, maybe you might let yourself be a 5, but it all is within.
Right.
And the quote that comes to me around the dis-ease part is, all sickness is a defense against the truth. I know that's a difficult one to hear, but I get it. I mean, and I get it in terms of my own experience too. So yeah.
And your son, who doesn't have a whole lot of this information, is not part of his reality, but you being a living, breathing, walking example of it, if you can find joy in just walking the talk, so that others around you can feel what that is and the peace that comes from you, that will activate your joy, because extending love is what makes us happy.
Right,
And
absolutely.
that's our purpose.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Zandra. It's so definitely connect and upgrade your chart.
Yes.
Dust it off. That is so awesome.
I'm ready for a piece of Peter Bree's wisdom.
Yes, Peter, so good to have you here. And then we'll definitely come to you,
Oh,
Richard, because want to give you an opportunity to chat.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes,
yes, we
we can.
can.
Okay. I I'm not sure there's much to share. I've just had this wonderful love adventure with my daughter's four-legged friend Dixie.
Oh,
It's been a year or so since I've had a dog, and she came down to have her a surgical evaluation. She has a condition called TOC, thoracic outlet syndrome, where nerves in her neck are being pinched by her clavicle, and she's decided to have surgery at the end of July. But she came down for the evaluation and brought her children and her dog, Dixie. So for the past week, Dixie and I have become pals.
oh,
And I just had to say goodbye to Dixie recently. And I'll tell you, there's nothing harder than saying goodbye to things. And I would think that if anything, what I offer is I've had the experiences of saying goodbye to so many things that at some point you appreciate that it's not a goodbye as much as it is a hello to something new and taking some wonderful thoughts and memories with it. The one truth about life is that everything changes, and getting used to the changes, I don't know, without the way of mastery and the Course in Miracles and the spiritual growth that I've had, that without it, I guess I handle these comings and goings much better now than I ever have, or that I have, um, and there's a richness to all of it. Recently I went to Greensboro, North Carolina, to visit my childhood best friend who's suffering from dementia, and had dinner with him and two other friends who came down from New York, and um, somebody we've known for a long time. Well, certainly I've known Johnny since fourth grade. And throughout dinner, he would look across and say, well, I know Breeze. He and I go way back. We're brothers. But he looked at both Dennis and Janice, who he's known since junior high school, and would ask, who are you? How do I know you? And I don't know that I have a point to make, except that I said goodbye to Dixie, and I suppose I'll see her again. And I've said goodbye to a lot of people that I never did see again or will. But then there was Johnny, and saying goodbye to him, I guess I said goodbye to him a long time ago, because this time he wasn't really there. And if there's a point to be made, and I'll conclude on this note, it's appreciating all of it, Lorelei and Laina and everybody else. It's appreciating all that has taken place and not bemoaning that it hurts so much when it leaves, but the joy that it was there in the first place. Thank you for these few moments to try to come up with something thoughtful.
So great to hear you, Peter.
Thank you, Lorelei.
Ditto, Peter, we are long overdue for one of our chats.
We are, Laina. That'll happen. That'll happen.
Yes, we can't do it over coffee like we used to over on Sandy Plains Road, but we can each have our own coffee and connect on Zoom.
Well, we'll do that.
Very,
Thank you, Laina.
thank you.
Good to see you.
Well, I can't say the same because I don't see
Good to hear him.
good to see your name.
I'll figure out how to put my face on here, but right now it's both joyful and a little tearful.
Oh, well, sweet to be here with you during that time. So
Thank you.
absolutely. Let's go to Richard. Richard, do you have a thought, a comment, a question you would like to articulate here with our sweet sister Lorelei?
Well, I've never had a chart reading, so I'm kind of curious just what, how things may affect how the stars and whatnot may have affected the planets may have affected me on this journey.
What's your birthday?
9/15/48.
Well, Virgo sun, and then that's being of service. I mean, again, I guess I'm really knowing now that I'm an evolutionary astrologer. In other words, there's data here, but there's a soul journey. And it's, so you chose to come in as a Virgo sun. Well, Virgo is the sign of details. It's the sign of being in service. Often people with engineering, they can be Virgo's about improving the quality of things, the process, the method, the methodology. It's a very modest, and I think you've got some Leo energy though, just by looking at you with it's got the big eyebrows and, but let me just, let's see, 9/15/48. And again, as I said before, this is data. It's not a belief system. It's information. If the information can serve us in being and helping us be more of service and extending the love that we are, then whatever that information is, whether it's astrology or anything else, I think that's a good thing. As opposed to, so let me just see. Oh yeah, you do have got 3 planets in Leo. Yeah. So it's like the method actor. In other words, there's a very playful, childlike side of you. Do you relate to that part of you?
At times.
At times, yeah. Well, yeah, and I call it your cast of characters. Like we all have a cast of characters, and it's, to me, it's about giving conscious voice to these godly attributes. I mean, being in service, that's a beautiful thing. Again, you have significant energy in Leo, which is, childlike, playful, creative. It's the sign of joy. But again, and then Mars and Scorpio. Yeah. So you have planets in the 2 most detail-oriented signs in the zodiac. So whatever the details of something that bring you joy. I mean, in other words, again, you could have been a bookkeeper. I don't. What was your background from a professional standpoint?
I was a railroad conductor.
A railroad conductor. Interesting. Because Virgo is about transportation, which is interesting. A railroad conductor. So the conductor is the orchestrator, right?
You control what's done with the cars and stuff. You don't drive the engine, you control what's done with the train.
But I mean, you're in charge of the way the train is running, correct?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. There would be interesting. And you did that was your career?
Yeah, 30 years.
Wow. So let me ask you, what was most enjoyable about that for you? Like why did you do that for 30 years?
I like the variety of terrain. You see things from a train you can't see anywhere else.
Because the reason I'm asking you that question is because the planet of the meaning and purpose of your life in the chart, it's the planet Jupiter. You have Jupiter in Sagittarius. So here you are driving a train. Did you go far, or were these short trips?
Main line, we'd go about 250 miles.
Okay. Because Sag is movement, in other words. So in other words, did you see what you did as an adventure? Did it feel adventurous to you?
Usually.
Okay.
Not always.
Okay. I don't think I got anything else right at the moment.
Well, again, I'm gonna share, Lorelei. You'll have to send me how you want people to reach you. So send that to me, and I'll forward it.
Well, and you know what's interesting, Laina? I have not had a website for, I think it's maybe about 4 years or so, and I'm right now in the process. I'm working with this transformational network, and I actually will have a domain, which I haven't had. And we bought this today. Joy Lorelei is one of my domains, which is so cool. So yeah, so I'm in this, and all of you, whether you're conscious of it or not, we're all in this process of, how do I want to say, becoming these even more godlike expressions of ourselves. Like these new versions of you are coming online. So like there's stuff from the past we could be holding on to, but there's things that are calling us. And you always used to talk about Laina, being on the bridge in the fourth dimension between the third and the fifth. That's kind of where we are, and that bridge and that two worlds, the love or fear. So
Yeah.
the choice is pretty simple, isn't it?
And we're towards the end of that bridge in terms of a wonderful opportunity right now to really consciously choose to get off the bridge for those who have done enough work that our mind is ours and we alone can rule it to move more to love or to continue to be validating fear as a choice that we want to keep entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you one more lesson.
Okay, cool.
And so I've got two I want to play with, but let me give you this next one. So this is lesson 344. And it says, "Today I learn the law of love, that what I give my brother is my gift to me." So how can we, take
There's
that?
the holy encounter again.
Yeah.
What I give my brother is my gift to me. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. So if I'm spewing stuff out about someone, it's right here. It's, yeah. I mean, the word that has come to me, in my study of the course now is vigilance. I keep that word, just keeps, it's a vigilance. It's a discipline. But it's like a vigilance of, watching the thoughts or knowing they don't exist anyway, or yeah. So yeah, what I
And
give my brother, I give to me.
this is the mastery. This is what gets us off the bridge. Because at some point we want to get off the bridge. We want to ground ourselves in operating mind, body, spirit in alignment with being the love that we are, because that is the only way we're ever going to feel total happiness. Total joy is only experienced when you are what you are, which is as God created us with a purpose of happiness. And if we're not experiencing that, we're blocking it. There is no way to experience uh, to have an experience of lack of love unless we are blocking that love. It's just not possible. And that's why we're training our mind to take full responsibility for what we're thinking, because as we train our mind to think with God, we're taking steps off the bridge because we're making that choice into being the love that we have accepted that we are, if we take what is stated in A Course in Miracles as truth. So that trust is
And videos of child porn. They also found a smashed
hold on a second. Let me mute Peter real quick. There we go. So we have to take full control of our mind, train it to think with love. And to your point, Dondra, if there is not feeling as much joy there, look at what is blocking that joy so that you can be the joyful being that you were created to be right there. And then your joyful being can move, of course, but the desire to leave where we're at is, if we're not feeling excited or happy about where we are, is an indicator. Yes, two things can be happening. There is a desire to move. Your soul can be wanting to guide you somewhere else. But if we're not joyful where we are, then that's the ego letting us know something, the grass is greener somewhere else. Well, if that's how we look at life, when we get to that next place, guess what we're going to be projecting? The grass is greener. Oh, I can't be happy here. I can't be happy there. So that continues to perpetuate itself if we don't address it wherever we happen to be. So let me give you before we complete, and we're gonna go ahead and close this up. And Lorelei, we'll have to do this again. Does everybody want to do this again at some point? Yes, this is a lot of fun.
Yes.
We'll have to do it again. Yes, Susie.
Yeah.
Just had a question about this lesson, and after, with the astrology that you're saying about the holy relationship with myself and the same as the ones that I have with all, because we are all one. And then it made me think about our lesson today, and I wanted to ask if I'm listening to this or embracing this correctly, because our lessons are today, let me not deny, the thoughts of God, let my mind not deny the thoughts of God. And then the second lesson is I am entrusted with the gifts of God. And so is that the same like this? I give my brother as my gift to me. I am entrusted with the gifts of God because my brother is my gift to me when I show him love. Is that what the same thing? Okay. That's what I felt that connection so quickly. And I just want to make sure that,
Yeah,
okay.
all tied together. Because see, the main thing that we have to understand is that we are the essence of love. That is what we are. And we are having this experience to extend love, but the ego has a different idea to block love. And the way that we, as our mind is trained, is to understand that everything is, we're connected to everything. There is only God. So God is what everything is made of. And if you want to get metaphysical, then God is energy. So if everything is made of energy, the love that I extend to anything is a reflection of what I'm believing I am. So if I love a brother or a sister, it's because I am love. If I can't stand a brother or a sister, it's because there's a part of me that I have not learned to love yet. That's why I say every irritation is an invitation for us to see that egoic motivation to build those walls where the course is helping us build the bridges to those connections. So it is all tied together. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just listened to the part of the lesson, listening to those again, where you talk about the computer being God. When you're talking with the lady in the very early lessons, and you're telling her, says, she was concerned about the computer information, and you were like, "Well, this is a piece of metal, but it's the energy, the same energy that's us." And I was like, "Wow, that was,
It's all connected because it's all one. And so our mind is blocking the barriers to accepting the oneness that is here, because when we accept that oneness, we're loving everybody, everything. That means now we're being the love that we were created to extend. So yeah, we built so many barriers, so many blocks have been built. Awesome. Does anybody else want to say anything before I ask Lorelei her perspective on one last lesson?
Oh,
The love, Heidi. All right, well, Lorelei, here's the last one, and it's lesson 365. So it's the last lesson.
this is like the jackpot. I feel like we're on a quiz show or something.
Yes, it does feel that way, huh? All right, so lesson 365,
Wow.
the last lesson in the course, be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. So this is speaking to God. God, be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. What happens to someone?
What comes to me is, and again, in my belief that the soul and God, we made this agreement and we came in with this configuration or with these skills or these these talents. So say it one more time.
Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace.
Your direction gives me peace. I see the chart as a direction. I mean, I see the chart as a direction from the divine. If I come in with these raw materials, I'm responsible for sharing them with my brothers and sisters.
Yes, because as we become the light of the world, we can't help but shine it. And of course, that light illuminates the path.
Yeah. And again, it is a path. It's not a prediction. It's not like somebody has this chart, so it means this. It's a path. And all along the way, we're a choice. We're a choice. Which world are we going to walk in?
Yeah, beautiful. So Lorelei, I want you to have the last, few minutes. You get to close us out with whatever you're inspired. And I want to leave a reminder for anybody, if you're not part of the Awareness Academy, by all means, know that we would love to have you there. If you're a student of truth and you want to dive deeper into the course, I have 3 different levels. One is completely complimentary, it's free, and you get to be part of the basic. I break down A Course in Miracles and make it as simple as can be. Then there's more of a middle level where it's a little bit more advanced, and then there's a level where we're diving into talking about 5D and what that means, and the beings beyond, which are all part of the oneness. So wherever you want to be in that conversation, we welcome you. And I'm trying to build the place where people can feel comfortable utilizing A Course in Miracles to be able to turn it into practical use in everyday life. And it's got to move out of the head, it's got to move into the heart for it to be practical. Otherwise, it's intellectual. And I've seen it because I know it in others, because I know it in myself. When we have A Course in Miracles in our head, we can say a lot of hurtful things. We can put people down, oh, that's not real. Your cancer, that's not real. If you're not coming from a place where you can have a conversation with compassion and true understanding, we're making up this illusion. But while we're here, it feels so uncomfortable. And if we don't bring compassion to those who are there, we can't assist them on the bridge out of there. And that's my goal with the academy, is to help people really utilize these tools to stop denying the discomfort, but to learn to deny power from the discomfort, because we've got to rule our minds. That's what we've been given, and that's what we use to make up this illusion. So anyhow, thank you everybody for being here. I'm just so grateful for this first guest appearance, and that it has been Lorelei, and then we will definitely have her back and have maybe a continuation just to talk about astrology and A Course in Miracles, because it's
I'm going to start now. I'm going to be starting to think of the lessons in terms of what I kind of connection I make to the astrological piece. That's going to be so fun. But here's what I wanted to just say, and it's real simple. It's time to get off the fence. I mean, in other words, for all of us, those of us that are conscious at all, we are being called to step up, step out, and, break through where we have limited the joy of the God essence that we are. And and knowing that when we're, again, accepting and loving all of us, this is where the astrology is so great, because you can see the shadow side and the higher side. But when I'm accepting and loving all of me and then extending it, that joy is unspeakable. I mean, and that to me is the recipe for joy. It's about the good, the bad, and what we would call the good, the bad, and the ugly, but about exploring all of it. It's all love anyway. It's just distortion. And I'm just so grateful myself, because I know I really, it's funny. I mean, as I said, I thought the joy was gone. I thought the light was out. I knew it wasn't, but it felt that way. It felt like it was kind of flickering. So it just, now the excitement that I feel, that I just want to turn up the joy rheostat in anybody, whatever, just a little bit more joy in any interaction I have with anyone. And I'm not apologizing for that anymore. And I was. So I would say to all of you, if I'm feeling that, then there must be others that are still kind of apologizing. That might not be the word that you would use, for being more of who we are.
Absolutely. What a wonderful reminder. Thank you so much. Let's just be all that we've been created to be. So
I love you so much, Laina. Oh, and thank you all for being here. This was so cool for me. This is like a first. And so, I mean, yeah. It's working, I mean, and I know you all must feel this way. Those moments of peace that they're not as many as I want yet, but they're more. And there's enough evidence that this practice works. I mean, if we're diligent and vigilant and disciplined, it does work. And we need our miracle buddies. We need our mighty companions.
And to use some double negatives like the Course use it, we cannot not help but experience all that joy if we really commit to this journey. So thank you all so much for being here. It's just so
Thank
sweet.
you, ladies.
Of course.
This is awesome.
Absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
See you all the
Thank
next time.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Peter, join us sooner next time. Bye, everybody.